Hello and welcome to In The Weedz. We're recording live from the Pickeyweedz Esoteric Occult Boutique, located just south of Clark Summit, Pennsylvania, in beautiful South Abington Township. Pickeyweedz is the largest and most diverse boutique of its kind in northeast Pennsylvania, with an increasingly wide variety of items for many traditions.
In addition to items for sale, Pickeyweedz hosts a wide variety of classes, events, and community-driven gatherings throughout the year. Pickeyweedz is located at 105 Layton Road, South Abington Township, PA. Open Wednesday through Sunday, 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. More information can be found at www.pickeyweedz.com. That's PICKEYWEEDZ.com, or on our social media channels on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. In The Weedz is the official podcast for Pickeyweedz, where we strive to bring the community together with topics of interest, guest speakers, and informative discussions to benefit the entire community.
If you'd like to be a guest speaker, either live or remote call-in, please visit www.pickeyweedz.com. Scroll down to the bottom of the page, find In The Weedz podcast guest application, click it, copy and paste the text into an email with your contact information, and send it to us at pickeyweedz@gmail.com.
Now let's get in the weeds.
All right.
Hi, guys. Welcome to
Hello.
episode 6. Hey, Chris, what's up? Of In The Weedz podcast. We're your host, Tay and John, and we have with us tonight Chris Greenshields. He was the leader of our first Coven, and he's an author and an all-around kind of cool kid anyway. So how's it going, Chris?
It's going all right. What an introduction. Thank you. Thanks for having me, guys. I'm glad to be talking to you.
It's always good to talk to you,
likewise.
babe. So you want to start this thing off here, John?
Yeah, I guess, Chris, I'd just let everybody know about yourself. How'd you get into paganism, like magic, the occult? Give us the...
Give us a down low.
The beginnings.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, I guess start from the beginning. There wasn't a beginning. I grew up in a household. My parents were spiritualists, and they were heavy practicing when I was very young, and then it tapered off probably when I reached about 10. And then I developed a curiosity of my own. So that's kind of where I got started, but I was kind of brought up in that sort of headspace, if you will. At the time, of course, it wasn't anything like it is today. So the ideas that existed then, I'm talking in the mid to late 70s, are very different than they exist today.
When you say spiritualist, was that like Edgar Cayce type thing, or what's?
Yeah, kind of seance, talking with ghosts, that sort of thing. My parents and extended family, generally the family matriarchs would get together, and when they did, there would eventually be a seance at the party.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
kids were usually dismissed at that point, but after a certain age, you were kind of allowed to be in the room as long as you were respectful and quiet.
So they do it like mediumship, that kind of thing, like a trance channel?
Yeah, mediumship, channeling. There was some scrying at times, pendulum stuff. It was all real folky when I was a kid.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was all super folky, and my mother was a psychic medium, just a natural. So that was always kind of omnipresent. And then when you live in a family as big as mine, there was always, deaths in the family, and the air of things are kind of surrounded that, especially with the Victorian kind of vibe that goes along with spiritualism.
I love that.
So did she, did she use the Ouija, or was it just straight trance channel?
There was a Ouija. Well, there were a few Ouijas in the house when I was growing up. There was an old wooden one
Oh, nice.
I remember. And then, whatever the other brand was, with Mattel or Hasbro,
Parker Brothers.
Parker Brothers.
Yeah, the Parker Brothers one with the goofy moon on it.
Kind of pressed paper.
Yeah, the old ones were really pretty too.
Are.
Like there's handcrafted that went into it.
So, yeah, it was a pretty one, but I remember there was a bit of a scare at one point. We had a bit of an occurrence in the house. We had a lot of preteens and adolescents living in a very small area at the same time. So, that can kind of whip up the energy a bit, and things got a little bit gnarly. So mom and dad decided to pump the brakes a bit until the herd thinned out, if you will.
I think I remember your dad saying something about that, waking up with a mist or something in the house. And he was like, it's very poltergeisty. Yeah.
That was, that stuff seemed to surround my dad. So my dad came from a spiritualist family as well. So I live in the Lansing area, and my dad was born in 1930, and his parents separated very early, and he went to live with his grandparents on Lake Lansing. And his grandparents, my great-grandparents, were part of the spiritualist commune out there. They were both school teachers.
Oh, wow. Groovy.
So you're talking about spiritualism in the family going all the way back to, probably 1910 or earlier.
So
when it was really, really popular.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, so that was kind of where the family came from.
Very cool. I don't think I knew that about your mom and dad.
No. Mm-mm.
Yeah, and my mom was just more of a natural. She'd have premonitions as folky women did. I don't want to paint her to be too folksy. She was a super classy, well-spoken, well-educated, very prim and proper lady.
Yeah.
Very Victorian in her upbringing. But there was a lot of, folky stuff that came over with the family, with us from, like Scotland and Northern Ireland, that kind of. Tay, I know you can identify with your Appalachian.
Oh yeah, God.
Folky roots, that Scots-Irish stuff.
It's crazy. You still see places with the nails in the trees, with the blessings inside there for the healing and stuff like that. All over down there. It was so funny. We went to a park up here for a wedding that we were the stand-ins for the parents who weren't going to be able to be there. And there was one of the willows overhanging a little creek that runs behind it that was full of the nails and the little pieces of paper rolled up in the tree. It was really cool. Yeah. I love that.
To get rid of sickness.
Yes, it's amazing.
Yeah.
We actually have a guy come in, Mark Stavish. He teaches a class on Pennsylvania Dutch powwow practices. And,
yeah.
And they do that too. It's really something because it's like all of the Appalachian chain, and then a lot of it comes from the Germanic, and a lot of it comes from the Scottish and the Irish and the Celtic. And it's really, really cool to see how alike everything is. How much everybody practiced the same kind of thing. It's really cool.
So was your mom and dad affiliated with any official organization, or was it just like folk tradition?
My dad was. But, it was through the Masonic Temple.
Cool.
Yeah, and then some of their ancillary organizations. And then there was a little smattering of Rosicrucianism and that sort of thing in there, but that's just part of the whole package.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, depending on which way you go in that organization.
Right.
Well, it was well-rounded,
Yeah.
Well-rounded.
Yeah.
We loved your dad to death. And, we named our store Pickeyweedz in honor of a conversation that you, me, and your dad had. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, you boys out there running around the Pickeyweedz.
Yeah. And so for those of you that don't know, Pickeyweedz are the little stickers that get in your pant legs. when you are walking through the pucker brush, as we call it in Michigan.
Yeah, stick tights and burdock and all that. Yeah.
So no, we're not a dispensary.
No, please stop calling us to fill your medicinal pot needs.
Maybe one day.
It might happen. Yeah.
We could be so
you
lucky
guys are
as
a little
Michigan.
late to the party.
I know.
Pennsylvania.
We're so freaking jealous of you. It's not even.
I leave Michigan. You got legal weed. That's just nonsense.
And he works
That's
in a
pretty crazy out
dispensary. Jeez. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Are you guys?
Yeah.
Y'all have legal psilocybin yet?
In parts of the state, yeah, there are like the Ann Arbor area. I think Grand Rapids, maybe. It's decriminalized on the local level, and then the state really doesn't intercede. But
That's
you
cool.
can't go crazy. You can't go selling wheelbarrows full of those things. But,
like handing it out the back door.
Don't tell if you happen to get a handful of mushrooms in a park somewhere. Nobody's going to chase you down.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Big Gretch is getting stuff done over there.
Yes, she is. She's a keeper.
Yep.
Oh my
Pretty
God.
awesome.
So I loved your dad. He's like my second love of my life, and he's gone now. So yeah.
Yeah, he was something else.
He was. I wish people could have. You couldn't take him any damn where. He's like he'd get in a conversation with anybody. He didn't care. You know?
Yeah.
He
That
was
was
awesome.
that was a big takeaway for me. Was everybody has some sort of wisdom that they can offer you. So
Yeah,
be ready to get it from just about any source, and
absolutely.
He was way ahead of the curve on that as far as being an open-minded and tolerant person.
He was awesome.
An amazing cook.
But that with all the travel that he had in his life. That'll just beats away prejudice and
It
bigotry.
really
doesn't it?
does. I think they should make everybody travel for 2 years before they're allowed to be in polite society. Yeah.
Sure, that's right.
I still remember him coming up to me, shoving something in my face. Here, try this. I'm like, what is it? Never mind. Just try it. I'm like, oh my God, it was freaking amazing.
Yeah.
It was amazing. Yeah.
So we heard about you and your parents and the spiritualist background. So can you take us kind of through the next level? Like what happened, teen years, that kind of thing? What got you started on the path?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I was real curious about all of that on my own, and where do you find information? That is still, a head scratcher. Where can you find good information? And for me, I thought it was through some people that I knew at the time, and I later found out that might not have been the case.
Yeah.
But there were some good books out there, and there were some good books out there with some bad advice in there, and
you mean some pop psychology manuals?
We had a few of those too. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I mean, pick your flavor and dial up a religion. The 70s and 80s were very much like that, where you could just, kind of just get in where you fit in. It was weird, and there was a lot of misinformation out there, and there still is, and.
Well, they were dropping a lot of acid, Chris. I mean, come on.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. I mean, yeah.
Oh, my God.
That's absolutely true. There was a lot of that in the free love movement.
Yes.
And yeah.
It's
weird.
like the first love and lighters.
I think for myself, it was, keeping my feet hopefully firmly on the ground and knowing at least that not everything is as it seems. I know that sounds super cryptic, but I'll make a point here. Just chasing down lies is mostly what you do in your first, 10 years.
Yeah, probably your first 50.
Lies are not so.
Yeah,
it's a continual
I'm a
process.
little older now, and for me, the older I get, the less I know.
Yes, absolutely, and the more questions you have. Jeez.
Oh man.
Oh.
Yeah.
You're a whippersnapper. I just turned 57 this month.
Oh yeah. You're just I can see you from here. I'm 51.
You're getting closer. Closer.
Yeah, that was been fast.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Careful of that damn precipice. It's a damn steep drop.
Yeah, then your body starts falling apart.
To circle back to it, I mean, I just was like, unfortunately fearless and dumb, and tried everything and found some moderate success in some things, and a lot of the stuff was just, ballyhoo.
Yeah, ballyhoo.
Yeah.
Oh my God. You know how smart we were. We knew everything in our 20s. Come on.
Oh, how cringy to think that.
Oh my God. We just had the world by the tail. Now who's got who, right?
Yeah.
You'll laugh when I tell you what book I've got sitting beside me over here.
What are you reading?
It's sitting here. It was for reference. It's The Golden Bough.
Oh, for James Fraser.
Yeah. Do you remember your required reading list?
Yeah.
It's been a constant companion since then.
That's a great book.
Wow,
it is.
Me too.
It's excellent. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Sitting right here beside me. Yep.
Yeah. That was where, and that was an unlikely source for me for good source material.
It was amazing.
Yeah, and the philosophy in it, and that. Also, Marcus Aurelius for me has been great for
my favorite Stoic.
Yeah.
I love him to death. I quote him all the time. So yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Isn't that
Absolutely,
funny?
Yeah.
We're getting old, Chris. We're getting old.
Right. When we're quoting Sir James Fraser and Marcus Aurelius, it might be time to wrap it up.
You might want to make the wheel out now.
Little light reading.
So my 20s were like meeting people and then figuring out that they were trying to get something for nothing mostly. I guess that would be the theme of my 20s and 30s was charlatans and ne'er-do-wells trying to exploit and manipulate other people through a force of will. So if you're really going to drill down on it, that's a big part of what magic is anyway. So was that magic or not? I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, and
exactly.
I don't know what you believe.
I don't know about you, but I find it's I'm sure it's true in every religion or spirituality, but it just seems rife with that kind of person. And I feel really bad for the new seeker because they're just inundated without being able to really discern right away who's full of shit and who isn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you imagine going on YouTube University and trying to find truth?
Oh my God.
Or TikTok.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Hey, let me ask a question. Let me turn the table for a minute.
Sure.
Who's listening? Who's your demographic? Who are the people that you're reaching out to?
A little bit of everybody. There's practitioners. Our areas kind of runs the gamut as far as traditions and practice. There's everything from island and African traditions, closed practices. And then we have several very serious ceremonial magicians in the area.
Okay, yeah.
And then we have a smattering of Wiccan practitioners, and there's a large number of Norse practitioners in the area.
Oh God, it's huge.
Yeah, we have a bunch of Norse folks around. That's very popular in Michigan.
Yeah, here too.
Yeah. And it's empowering, and that's cool for people.
And a few of them are very, very knowledgeable, like academic level.
Like Raven Redfeather.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And, there's some professional astrologers. They won't call themselves professional because they're too humble.
Lindsay. Yeah.
There's and then you have an even larger population of people that are just curious, or they're seeking, or they're just craving some information. So they're at that beginning stages.
Are you? Is it younger people or?
God, it runs the gamut, Chris. Literally.
Yeah, we had
that's cool.
We had a group of elderly ladies come into the old store back when it was the little shoebox store down by Rosario's Pizza, and we both thought that they were the Baptist church coming in because they were dressed to the nines. Very classic, as you said, Victorian dress and very proper. And
nice.
We're like, oh God, here we go. Turns out they've been a circle that have been meeting for
decades,
40 years.
Yeah. every Monday.
Very
Yeah.
It
nice.
started as an Edgar Casey spiritualist group, and it's kind of morphed from there into, I guess it's a full-fledged coven.
They were amazing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Amazing.
With snacks, with cucumber sandwiches and cookies.
Right? Yeah, I can deal with that.
Totally.
Little
I wanna
cucumber
check
finger
that one out.
sandwiches. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm down with that.
They're some of the sweetest people ever.
Yeah,
I mean,
they
they're
were
just
amazing.
absolute class acts all the way around. And I mean, they come in every once in a while, and they're just, it's just awesome.
We've had elders from Peru in that are practicing Amazonian medicine. And
Wow.
these three ladies were just absolute. Oh my God, I could have ate them with a spoon. But yeah,
Wow.
yeah, they spent a lot of time. We talked a lot because I'm an herbalist, so they hung out and they invited me to Peru, and yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. It just runs the gamut, and then we've got older folks that are practicing. What am I trying to say? Like the Lima,
Okay. Yeah.
things like that, and they come
Yeah.
in all the time. And then we've got some folks around, middle age to our age that are pretty serious about ceremonial practice, and it's just
Awesome.
really nice. We're in kind of a good place. We know people in 21 divisions. We know people in Haitian voodoo. We know people practicing the original Yoruba. It's been
Oh, wow.
It's
Yeah.
been a real learning experience for us too. It's
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
that's what makes it nice. Is having all this
Yeah.
diaspora all kind of
Right.
descended on this one place. Everybody looking for somebody else to connect to.
Right.
Really nice.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's what's going on right now. Everybody wants somebody to connect with.
It's crazy.
Right. Community. That's what I think people, are really missing.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the things that we try so hard to have such a variety in the store so that people, from all the different traditions at least can find something,
Yeah.
And if,
Right.
and even better if they happen to be there and someone else comes in that's, either interested in their tradition or is already part of the tradition, and then, hey, they met a friend.
Yeah. And that's
Yeah,
fun to watch
absolutely.
too.
That's the best part.
Yeah, that's fun. That's fun to watch
Yeah.
them see each other, meet each other, and go, "Oh my God, I practiced that."
Because I remember the
Yeah.
old days, and I know I felt alone. I felt completely alone.
Oh, sure.
And even though it was you and I in the beginning, and you remember how that started? We were in DOC, in Department of Corrections,
Yep.
in Mound Road
Yeah.
Prison, Detroit.
Yeah, 7, I think 7 Charlie.
Oh, God, you even remember the housing unit.
Yeah. 7 Charlie. Yeah, that was a level 2 medium security housing unit, and we were there on 3rd shift. Yeah, I remember it well.
Yeah, I'm like, hey, what's that on your neck? And then, the rest is history.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Opened the door for a conversation. You seemed like you were a cool guy. So, yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and a smart guy too. So, and very driven. I always appreciated that, how your drive.
Yeah.
Well,
Go,
some
go.
people
It's
call it
just trying to
OCD, but
Hey, whatever,
I got all the alphabets.
Oh my God, it's
Yeah,
OCD and
totally.
ADHD in one room over here. Jeez.
Oh boy, yeah.
Yeah.
Good thing Laura and I are just kind of cut from the same cloth. Laura's my wife.
Oh, that's awesome.
I know you guys know that, but
Yes.
everybody else
Oh,
doesn't.
yeah.
We were so happy to see that.
I remember the first time, I grew up in the woods, anyway, because Michigan, there's really not much else to do. So,
Yeah, 60% of the state is woodland.
yeah, so you better hunt, fish, or hike, and it's something
Right,
because
yeah.
there's, especially back in the 80s, 90s, there was nothing else. So I spent most of my
Right.
childhood hiking through the woods, but I had never
Same.
been in a woods like the one you showed me.
Yeah.
Yeah, affectionately known as Hughes Lake, or Seven Gables,
Yes.
more famously, and for local legend, the Dansville State Game Area, a beautiful 880-acre piece of property owned by the state of Michigan that is just open for people to enjoy.
And
I
I had no idea sorry to interrupt. I never no idea the reputation that place had.
No,
Yeah.
I just knew it felt groovy.
Yeah, well, I think that's it, isn't it? Right? Because when you get there, you just people can feel it. I think my immediate inclination when I was a younger man, I was drawn to it. I grew up near a wood. My parents' house backed up to a nice sugar bush. And I spent all my, little kid years running around in the woods, and I just needed to go to a bigger place, and that was very close to where I grew up. And just through, walking around out there for all these years, I've been going out there since I was old enough to drive. So, what is that, 15, 16 years now?
Yeah.
Long time. Yeah.
Nice try.
We won't do the
Maybe
math.
a little longer than that.
Nice try.
Remember when 20 years ago sounded like a long time?
Yeah. Oh, my God.
Boy.
Oh,
Yeah.
Chris, a kid said to me a couple weeks ago, "You're from the 1900s."
Yeah.
He has no idea how close he came to death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's right, though.
Yeah,
We met John and I met 30 years ago.
Oh, my God.
Yep. That's
Yeah.
Yeah,
crazy.
it'd be 30 years this year, I think.
And
Just about that, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Yeah, it was 90, 91, 92?
No, 93. I
Was it
think.
93?
Yeah.
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 Damn, that's wild.
And I met you crazy people in 96.
Yep.
Jeez. help
Was
me.
it that long after? It doesn't seem like it. It seemed like,
I know, right?
yeah, it was just bing, bang, boom.
Where the frick did the time go? Oh, my
Yeah.
God.
That's just what all the old people say.
So, thanks, Chris. Thanks. Yeah. Thanks so much. Yeah.
But that woods
Love you too.
always had it felt comforting to me. It was never frightening.
No.
It felt like home. And
Yeah, that was, there's layers to it.
yeah.
Yeah.
You wrote a book about it.
I did write a book about it.
So tell us what the book is.
Oh, okay. The book is called The Witch of Seven Gables. It's a first in a series of books about the area. I'm not going to say how many there's going to be. We'll just see.
I don't want to commit to that just yet.
No.
Yeah,
Don't let my publisher hear me talking.
Yeah. I'll say book 2 is well underway.
Awesome.
So
Oh,
probably,
that's fantastic.
probably should be out in 24.
Speaking
Knock
of
wood.
which, where are my copies of the first book? Because people want it and they keep asking for it.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
we'll circle around afterwards and I'll get you all you need.
Yeah, I had quite a few messages after one of the other episodes where we just kind of briefly touched on your book, and you're like, "What book is that? Where's it at?"
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah, that's awesome.
There's some
Yeah.
interest. Yeah.
I hated to send
Okay.
them to the corporate overlords, but that was the only
Didn't
place.
have a choice. Didn't have any copies, Chris.
I'm the worst.
For those of you listening that have not read it, it's an excellent read.
Yes,
really,
it is.
Thank you very
really,
much.
Really good.
And
Highly
it is
recommend.
the grove we work magic in as a coven.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Amazing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's part of the whole thing. So I started out small game hunting there. No, that's not true. I started out probably just camping out there. And well, I'll tell you the story. I was out there. It was probably 1988. I was out there camping with a friend of mine, and we weren't doing anything crazy, probably drinking a couple of beers and, threw a tent up and had a small fire and, just doing what guys did. We didn't have any money, so we did have tents and camping gear. So you just made it to the woods for something to do, and when you were a minor in possession of whatever you were in possession of, you just went to the woods and did what you did, and hopefully the adults would leave you alone.
Right.
So we're out there. Yep. Yeah, we were out there and we're having a grand old time, and the topic of conversation wasn't spooky or anything like that. We were just enjoying the woods, and I want to say it was late in the season, probably late October, early November, and it's as strange as it sounds. The wood was dead silent, as it is that time of year, unless there's wind, and we heard what sounded very much like a woman scream. So, your logical mind wants to jump to, a cat or
bobcat or something like that.
Yeah, or a yote or something like that that's going to make that noise. But that's great. But that isn't what it sounded like. You just know the difference when you know the difference.
Yeah.
That's all I can say about that.
It's all in the hackles in the back of the neck.
Was that part of the legend
yeah,
too?
it was that. It was very much that. And to the point, and we heard water splash as well.
Oh.
Which is super disconcerting.
Yeah.
So we kind of had a low-key panic moment where, both of us jumped to our feet and run around the campfire 3 times. And trying to figure out what we're going to do about it. And then we decided, well, first thing in your mind is Jason Voorhees out there doing a number on somebody.
Yeah.
What am I going to do? Yeah, I'm not going to be victim number 2.
Yeah.
You go check it out.
I'm going to run faster than that other guy, that's for sure.
I'm sorry
So
about
what
your
we
slow
did-
lope. Yeah.
100%. We just waited until light, which is about 3 hours, when you get your first break a day.
Mm-hmm.
And we broke camp and got the hell out of there.
Wow.
And a bunch of us boys went out, maybe 2 days later and walked the area, looked for anything. And of course there was nothing. And then I started talking to people about that story, and found out that there was actually a local legend that I hadn't heard. There'd always be whisperings around the campfire from people would talk about that type of stuff. And I started talking to people and started gathering the story the best I could. There are still families that live out that way that are kin to the people that the bad things happen to. So
Oh, wow.
I did want to be respectful of their privacy
yeah.
and make sure that names and times and things were altered slightly to protect people's good name.
Yeah. Well, that's
Because
understandable.
Dansville is a very small neighborhood, and everybody already knows everybody else's business anyways. And
Yeah.
when you're talking about that kind of business, everybody knows who you're talking about, unless you're not from that very small community in mid-Michigan.
So it's like the most haunted place in the entire state, right?
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of people that like to argue about it. And I would say it's one of the most haunted outdoor places I've ever been
Yeah.
in the state of Michigan. Yeah, probably anywhere.
See, it just
Other
felt
than
good
Chichen
to me.
Itza,
I was
maybe.
never scared there. I was like, this is,
Yeah.
it was a great
Yep.
vibe.
It's cuddly.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think intent has a lot to do with the vibe that you get from that place.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure.
Yeah, the woods is going to love you as much as you love it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if you're out there to be a knucklehead, then, you might get some chiller vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or get pixie
Yeah.
whip.
Yeah. You got pixie.
Yeah, for sure. Or that.
That was,
Yeah, if you go out there by yourself.
don't tell anybody.
Yeah, and don't tell anybody. And you're going to go out there about 2:00 in the morning and in February?
Brilliant plan, John.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do what I want.
Yeah.
I do what I want.
Yeah.
He still
Sneak
does
out
what
there.
he wants. He still does.
Yeah,
it.
me too. Yeah.
That was an interesting experience. Never had it again. Don't really want it to repeat.
No.
But,
Yeah, like a will-o-wisp event kind of deal.
well, I just got stuck in that swamp all the way in the back. And,
Yeah.
the staff that I have, it was all the way down, except maybe, 7-8 inches of the thing was buried down in the swamp to try to push my way through it.
Yeah.
And I came out on a bank and it was these trees that I'd never seen before. And I still remember it like it was yesterday. And it was just like one of those things that's seared in your memory. And there's these big, gnarly, rooted trees that almost look like, a swamp cedar or something. Just big,
Yeah.
gnarly roots and very little vegetation. And I was like, I don't remember any of this. Chris and I have been back here, I don't know how many times.
Oh, yeah.
And never seen that particular section of woods before. And
Yeah.
you start hearing sounds that don't sound like normal. And,
Yep.
it's one of those things where you ask for some help to get out, leave a little something, something. And hope they take pity on your dumb ass to get out of there. Yeah. Thankfully, they did. But yeah, that was, and you remember we went out afterwards trying to find that spot, trying to retrace the steps.
Yeah.
Could never find it. It was never there.
Yeah.
And that was one of the, okay. Yeah. Much respect for the Fae.
You were in the in-between. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I had a similar experience, shortly after my mother's death.
Oh, really?
Just kind of went for a woods walk just to get my head right, and went out there and just kind of wound up in a place that I'd never been. And and to look back on it now, it seems like a Summerland kind of event, where you were just kind of in a place that only existed in a time.
So, I mean, this isn't a normal woods. I mean, there's been practitioners. I remember you telling me magic had been practiced there for years and years and years and years.
Years and years and years, yeah. So there are Hopewell mounds in that area from the original indigenous people before the Anishinaabe.
Oh, wow.
So they're if you remember, over on Howard Road, we found that hill that had the indentation at the top.
Yep. Yeah, I remember that.
So that most likely was a mound that was put there by the original Hopewell people. So that place, I found out later in life, was kind of a Hopewell area.
Hopewell, is that what's the? So
those are the indigenous people of, I don't know, from the Great Lakes all the way down through the Mississippi Valley all the way down to Louisiana. They were kind of really big in Indiana and northern to mid Ohio, sort of a Midwestern proto-Indian, if you will. I know everybody in the Native community crucify me for what I'm saying. I'm sorry, because I'm only moderately educated in it.
Yeah.
So, those are the people before, the Anishinaabe got here. The original people, sort of tribal people like Clovis or those people, the ones that are so far back in time that we don't know a whole bunch about.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they found some prehistoric footprints that kind of made all the natives here laugh, going, "Yeah, we told you we were already here." They just found that too, which is, the people that spend any time in the Michigan woods and come into contact with native stuff know that it's way, way, way older than people really give it credit for. But we're still learning about history. Yeah.
I'm sorry I got off on that, but
no, that's beautiful. Love that.
Yeah, there's been ceremonial stuff that's been practiced out there for a very long time. I have an article from 1940, which is very recently, but in comparison, about a preacher going out there with journalist, and it was for the Ingham County News, and they were going to talk about this weird place out at Hughes Lake and the phenomenon that it was, and they were run off by snakes. Oh. They were unable to make it back all the way back to the Hughes Lake area. They were run off by snakes. They said the snakes were so thick that they couldn't even hardly get out of the truck.
They're like, get.
Yeah, and I would have been like, babies, give me some babies.
Yeah.
I mean,
they called them rattlesnakes, but, we only have one kind of rattlesnake in Michigan.
And it's a pygmy.
And it's a Mississauga. I've never even seen it, but all the years walking those woods.
Yeah.
They're so shy.
We were not overrun with them.
No. But, we walked those woods all over the place, and never once saw the places that you and I encountered, and I have such fond memories of the Grove, and that place will always be special.
Yeah.
Even without the reputation.
Yeah.
It's just
Oh yeah, yeah. I think the reputation's good for the place too, because people will always have a soft spot in their heart for it.
yeah. I saw your
So it
YouTube
was-
video on there where you were actually showing people where the house was and the foundations.
One of them, yeah. And there was, the experts came out in the comments,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
and there were some Dansville folk that wanted to charge at me with their torches and hay forks, telling me that I was spinning yarns.
Okay.
No.
But you know how the local experts are.
Oh yeah.
Oh, my God.
There was more than one house back there. There was 5 or 6 farms at one point back there. So, like I said, to protect some families that are still around, I don't say
Right.
on which farm that this actually occurred.
That's
Yeah.
understandable. So the book is The Witch of Seven Gables.
The Witch of Seven Gables, yeah, it's a cautionary tale. Maybe if you get involved in something that you don't understand, there can be some dire consequences. We ever heard that one before?
Yeah, once or twice. Fuck
Didn't
around,
stop
fuck
us
around.
at all, did it? Yeah.
So the story went as I received it. There was a family that did well in the greenery business, and they bought some property out there, and I think they bought it from John Rayner, which is a big name in this community at the time. Bought a big section of that so that they could harvest lumber there and have a little farmstead. But they had a maid of all work in the home. They were able to afford somebody to come in and help the missus, because they had adopted several children from the land wars from Ireland. So
Yeah.
there was a big,
Yeah.
right around the turn of the century, there was a big influx of Irish children unaccompanied coming in through Detroit. So this family adopted some of these kids and gave them a home, and were fortunate enough to, have a maid of all work. She did everything, including caring for the animals and caring for the children and caring for the husband and wife in the home and all that stuff. So she, it was right around the turn of the century, and there was a lot of things that you could get yourself involved in at that time, and she did, and might have got herself in a little trouble, and some people got hurt.
Wow.
That's the story that as it was told to me. So the legend is that the husband went crazy, killed the family, and burned down the house.
Wow.
There's another story that the washerwoman, the maid, went crazy and killed the children, and then she was murdered as a result.
Oh, wow.
Like hunted down and killed for that. Another story is that, again, husband kills everybody, hangs the children in the house from the gables of the house, and then hangs himself from this huge oak that is further back on one of the paths, one of the great oaks back there that's, well over 300 years old, an original old growth oak.
So nobody knows.
I think, John, you'd know that oak if you walked by it.
Yeah.
So would you, Tay, for sure.
Yeah.
So nobody
Yeah,
knows
they
what
call
the
that
actual
tree the
history.
hanging tree.
Oh, the hanging tree.
Wow.
Nobody
Yeah.
knows which one is true. It's just like several different folk tales from around the area. Or?
Well, the deal is around that time that, when there was some scandalous things going on, there was obviously no press.
Yeah.
Right. So in that stuff wasn't really sensationalized in proper society at the time. So there's some ambiguity, and there's also some legend that those deaths were attributed to disease or other things, or farming accidents or whatever. So you can't really nail anything down. If there were any murder en masse at that time, I'm sure there would be a better record of it. So there's no telling, and when people tell these stories too, they're not really giving you a time frame. So if you're doing research, which I did, I went to the Mason Historical Society in the Ingham County Courthouse to try and obtain some records, and you can't really do it unless you know when, where, and with whom it was done, or else, the record keeping wasn't super stellar then.
No, I would imagine not.
No, Michigan only became a state in like 1838. So what was that, 50 years before, before any of this goings on was. So
yeah,
things were still a little, even at the turn of the century, it was still a little lumber campy around here.
A little wild and woody.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And
That's a great story, though. And if you ever find yourself in Michigan, it's an amazing place.
it really is.
And you can drive by, blink and miss it, but it's
Google
amazing.
it.
Yeah, Google.
There's a lot of YouTube folks that go out there and chase ghosts, and I even do some walking tours with folks out there about this time of year when people start getting spooky and want to get out to the woods.
Oh,
We'll do
I'd have
midnight
some
woods
fun
walks.
with that. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I'll go out and tell a little bit of the story and show people the hanging tree and show people the foundation of the hearth of the farm where, the legend started.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember the foundation.
Yeah. You could see it a lot better then. So that got bulldozed by the state of Michigan.
Oh.
But they didn't bulldoze all of it. There's some good hidden parts of the farm that if you have a keen eye, you can still find like some paddocks and some foundations of barns and that sort of thing. It's actually pretty cool.
Oh, that's a shame they did that.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Keep the looky-loos away, I guess.
Yeah. That's, jeez.
Yeah.
So what's the next book? Can you give us a tease?
The next book is going to be how everyone responds to that tragedy that happened out there. There's going to be some angry folks that aren't going to like it. So
people still trying to protect the family name.
Yeah. There's going to be a lot of that, and there's going to be some people looking for some vengeance and some answers why there were so many bad things that happened.
So same thing happened to us.
I don't want to be too cryptic, but I don't want to give away anything
I hear
to anybody
that.
that hasn't read the book.
And the same thing happened to us.
It's a piece of historical local legend that is from 1899. The turn of the last century, and there's a lot of historic Mason, a lot of the history, and a lot of real names in there and real occurrences. So, if you like that type of stuff, give it a read.
Yeah, it's a great book.
Looking
really
forward
is.
to the next. Yeah, definitely. And I was going to say, you get a lot of that sideways talk of people trying to point fingers. That happened to my family. There's a book out about my uncle. He killed his entire family except for one child on Christmas Eve and shut all their eyes with pennies. Yeah, White Christmas, Bloody Christmas. That's my Uncle Charlie. And there were a lot of tales told about him. That
Can I guess his last name, or do you want it left unsaid?
You can guess.
Was it Charlie Lawton? Is that right?
Lawson.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was close.
Yeah, you've heard the story. So
I remember you telling me.
Yeah, a lot of people too were trying to say that he impregnated his daughter, but I don't think that was true. I think that he had a tractor accident some months before, and he had gone untended, and he was running a pretty big profitable farm, and I think that it was traumatic brain injury, and because you hear from other people in the family that what was once a really calm, mild-mannered, very generous, loving man was suddenly, prone to outbursts of extreme anger and not controllable at all. So I think it had more to do with that. I just think there was a lot of jealousy in the area because his farm did pretty well. And they were trying to paint him as incestuous, but there's nothing to point to that being a fact. So...
Yeah, isn't that the thing, though?
Yeah, that's how it always
that's the thing about ruining reputations, and that's a great parallel to draw. Yeah, absolutely.
I see that in that community because, there's a lot that maybe somebody does know exactly what happened, and they're trying to cover it up.
Yeah,
keep it quiet.
Yeah, and I think there's going to be some of that in the second book, and maybe a hatchet fight.
That's awesome. Can I get in a
There's
hatchet
nothing like
fight?
a good hatchet fight.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to throw a hatchet.
So, Chris, how would you describe your practice now, as opposed to what you were or what you did before?
Yeah, sure. Well, I guess I threw away everything that I thought I knew and just kind of accept the fact that I don't know anything, nor can I prove anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I just try to observe the world for what it is and try and make sense of it. I know that sounds absolutely ambiguous and cryptic, but that's the best way I can describe
No, I get that.
Yeah, totally.
That. Yeah. I go to the woods and I look around, and when it speaks to me, I know well enough to listen. That's the best I can put it.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
that's beautiful. No, there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
What advice would you have for someone brand new, just stepping their foot onto the path for the very first time? And
I can only speak from my point of view. I would just say that I wouldn't change a thing that I did. I met a lot of people. I asked a lot of questions. Even when things seemed a little risky, I was willing to at least bear witness to it.
Yeah.
Try everything, see what fits, and then everything that you do echoes in eternity. So
that's nice.
keep your intention pure.
Yeah.
Yeah, keep your heart in a good place. It's not going to make you rich. It's not going to make you famous. And every day it will teach you humility until you know it for rote.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah, you got that right.
Oh.
Yeah. And if nothing happens, you're doing it right.
Like that. If you could do anything,
the effects of trying to use will to impact your environment is certainly a practice and an art.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not a science.
There's
no formula.
If you could do anything different, what would it be?
Oh boy. Yeah. Learn how to read red flags. And that's going to be, I'm going to have a t-shirt or I got on my tombstone, I think.
Do you see the red flags?
Look for red flags in people.
Yeah.
The only things that ever let me down in my how shall I put this without sounding pretentious? How about my quest for connection, spiritual connection? The only thing that ever let me down was people.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
The woods never let me down. It's okay to feel lonesome because the universe will bring you somewhere, bring you someone in your life that will be good for you if your intentions are pure.
Yeah. And you're receptive to it. Yeah.
It all really
absolutely.
does.
And if you go out into the woods with a bad attitude or malicious intent, then that's what you'll find.
Yeah.
And if you go out there with an open heart and a smile and at least in humility, just pockets full of humility, and just open yourself up to learning things, that's when things happen the best and the most, I think.
I would agree totally. I was just telling somebody recently, do the love spell on yourself, not on another person. Become the person that's going to attract the kind of love you want to find in the world. And that's pretty much it. Do the inner work.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that, I was kind of chatting with John yesterday or the day before, and we were talking about it. And there are a lot of people that focus heavily on circles or wards or protections and stuff like that. And I think all those things do have. You guys mind if I speak on this?
No, of course.
God, no.
And I think that, first of all, that some of those things can offer you like a false sense of security.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because if you don't know what you're doing anyways, you're probably not doing it right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still, everybody wonders whether they're doing it right or not. That's a normal feeling. But if you're doing things where you think you need, and you think you need to protect yourself a lot, maybe you're not walking in the right direction.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Set your intention on a higher ideal. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think you and I come to terms on that pretty well, because I don't even feel the need anymore as I've gotten older to do any circle protections or anything like that, because I have a relationship with them, and I have a relationship with my internal dialogue.
Yeah.
That goes, shut up, you. Just be still and listen. Shut up. Yeah. So.
Oh yeah, that's the hardest part, isn't it?
It is. It is.
Yeah.
And it's still you still get that niggling little voice at the end of the night, but you learn how to shut that down pretty quickly. It's just all about building your internal dialogue and listening to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think another piece of advice that I could offer would be find a partner.
Yes.
You guys were lucky enough to find each other and be compatible like you are, both spiritually and emotionally. And
I just found somebody to put up with my bullshit for
me too.
Right.
28 years.
I was freaking insane. I don't know how you did
28 years. Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, it's our 25th anniversary this selling.
Yeah. It's our silver.
Oh, wow. Congratulations. Jeez.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yes, we're old, Chris.
Yeah, and to find somebody that you align with.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was lucky enough to do that myself, and I have a very tolerant and intelligent person.
Yes.
I think you found a keeper. I
did. Yeah, she's great. I found her 10 years ago, actually.
Yeah.
Awesome. We just celebrated 10 years and got married last year.
Congrats.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Absolutely. And she's my writing partner as well. So.
Aw.
She's a herbalist too, right? Botanist, even.
Yeah, she's a botanist, a lay botanist. She's a master gardener and an herbalist and a fantastic wife and mother and a super creative, artsy person.
And not hard on the eyes either.
No, not at all. She's my process and my muse too for my writing. So. Without her, I want to give her a shout out while I'm on this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, it wouldn't have happened without her. She found my editor, and she's a big part of my creative process, my writing partner and art director and all those things. And, it's great to have support. Like, you guys have each other, and I have her to help me do what I have. So my advice to people would be find somebody that you trust, but make sure that you have common interests.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's a great.
Don't be in the closet with it. You need to have somebody that you can be proud and curious with, and
fully aware of each other. It's the strangest thing to see the secrets that people keep from the one that they claim as their significant other or their soulmate. And I'm like, if you're keeping things from them, that might not be your soulmate.
Yeah, that's not how this works.
Yeah.
Right. No. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Right.
Is she part of the riverkeeper program too, or are you still part of that?
Yeah. So she and I, we bought a piece of property down in southern Jackson County at the headwaters of the Grand River, and we started. It's so beautiful there, and Laura was able to identify all these super rare native plants that we have down there.
Oh, awesome.
And she's like, oh no, we need to protect this.
Yeah.
So she actually bought the first piece of property. We fell in love with it and we wanted to protect it. Then she brought the property across the river that had a little cabin on it. And we started the Washtenaw River Conservancy. So that just means that we protect the area and we don't allow any sort of spraying or we cut out invasives. I think you guys probably have buckthorn where you're at too, that chokes out the native trees and shrubbery here. So we've spent the last 10 years just battling buckthorn.
Wow,
oh, that's crazy.
We sit on the Michigan has the Blue Water Trails, which is the river systems in the state, which are fantastic for canoeing and kayaking and stand up paddleboarding. So the largest blue water trail is the Grand River in Michigan. It's 275 miles long, depends on how you measure it. And it starts on our property. We own the first solid piece of ground at the headwaters of the Grand River.
Oh, that's
so
amazing.
our cabin is the first launch for paddlers on the Grand River.
That's awesome.
Really awesome.
Yeah. So we just kind of went over the top and got with the DNR and let them know that their biologists can access our property anytime they want. We also we have the Grand River Environmental Action Team, some local folks that do some riparian restoration and cut back brush on the river so people can travel the river. They use our property for those ends, and then we do some work with the state of Michigan in helping develop paddle sports for the state.
That's excellent.
Love it.
Yeah, get people on the water, and they'll want to take care of it and protect it. I remember being a wee lad the first time canoeing, in the 70s, and I remember even the Pine River, which is one of the most beautiful rivers in Michigan up by Cadillac. The whole bottom of the river used to be pop tops and beer bottle tops.
Yeah.
And
Nice.
and through efforts like this, it's not like that anymore.
Yeah.
That's fantastic, dude.
Yeah.
Amazing job.
And I think that's how you really, that's the real sacrifice, right? Is just your time and caring about it and protecting it.
Yeah.
Yes, and the way I see
Yeah,
it, she nurtures us. We gotta give that back.
Absolutely
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I think we're coming up on we just passed the hour mark. So
Woo, we had a good conversation.
Wow, that went quick.
Yeah,
it
it
did.
did.
It was a great conversation. Thank you so much for being our first guest.
What a blast.
We wanted to make sure that you were pretty instrumental in getting me on the path. At least Tay was already doing her thing, but
Bringing us together, though, that was kind of
we kind of wanted to ensure that the first one was you. So
I'm excited. Thank you very much.
really appreciate it, and everybody, thank you for sticking around for an hour, and have a great night.
Hold on, Chris. Thanks, guys. So we hope you enjoyed this episode of In the Weeds, and we hope you didn't have to pick too much pucker brush off your cloak after visiting with us here. If you liked the episode, please follow, subscribe, and share. And if you're really kind, leave a positive review. Be sure to tune in next week as we publish a new episode weekly. If you're in the area, stop by the store and see us. Thanks so much for listening, and have a great day.